All right, James, can you hear me okay?
Kevin, I can hear just great.
Okay, I'm relieved to hear that because I am not recording in my bedroom in Sherman Oaks right now. I decided because I've been taking quarantine protocols pretty seriously. I've not been inside of a restaurant or a bar in over a year. I didn't fly to Wisconsin for Christmas for the first time. I basically just decided while looking at my living room, no, I was just done with it. So I ended up booking just like a little quick getaway, just like a couple of days. I'm now in Big Bear, California, which is this little resort town that's up in the mountains. So there's a lot of snow, there's a lot of wildlife. It's so quiet and peaceful up here. And basically just needed a change of environment just to kind of like ease my anxieties a little bit. And so if you're wondering, listener, yes, in order for me to ease my anxieties, what I have to do is put myself in the situation of everyone in a horror movie ever. So my thought is if I get murdered, then I think that just makes for good podcasting right there. Like that's going to wind up on Slash Film.
It absolutely does. You know, this is an audio medium, and right now we're mediums. And what could happen is just a ghost could just decide to be a guest host, a guest ghost host on our podcast. Just you might hear little voices in the background. That's just Kevin's cabin ghost. That's all it is.
That is my cabin ghost. Yes, we have been desperately trying to get a third on the show for a while now. The ghost may make an appearance. Otherwise, there was someone outside with a machete. I did invite him to be on the show. Unfortunately, he had a prior engagement. He's going to be on This American Life a bit later. But you know what? That's his choice. That's his loss, I should say, because this is goddamn Trailer Hitch, baby. We talk about movie trailers. We got plenty to talk about tonight. We specifically have Thunder Force. We specifically have Slaxx. We also do have to talk about Luca. We also want to talk about Army of the Dead. That's the title, right? It's Army of the Dead.
That is absolutely the title. You're not incorrect. It's not a long lost George Romero film. But even though it sounds like it, yes, Army of the Dead.
Clearly the mountain air and ghosts are already doing me good. All right, James, let's fucking get this theme song going.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Releases by the movie trailers. We're Trailer Hitch. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're Trailer Hitch.
You know, we got a guy with a burlap sack over his head with a chainsaw who was rocking out to the theme song. I invited him in, but my favorite murder, he was already booked too. I am just fucking blown away by the amount of just slasher villains that are booked on podcasts. You know what? Fuck it. We're enough. Hi, I'm Kevin.
Yeah, hi, I'm James. I am a burlap sack boy. Kevin, you didn't know this about me, but that guest,
I didn't know you had a side hustle.
that guest we almost had on the show, I'm his gopher, you know?
Oh.
Like he's got a chainsaw that needs fuel. I got to run. I got to go for gasoline. You know what? The burlap sack man also needs fuel. I need to go for and get him some coffee as well. Get him a latte.
Coffee. Yeah, right. Yeah. Lunches, things like that. Listen, James, you're doing an honest living right here. This is the gig economy at its fullest. It's however you can and can't get work. Please tell your boss. We hope that he has a very good My Favorite Murder episode. But fuck My Favorite Murder. This is Trailer Hitch. Hi, welcome. We rate and review movie trailers on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both like a trailer, we celebrate. Then we go see the movie, report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Rear View, in which we talk about the film in retrospect, and then not the film in retrospect. Well, I guess we technically do that too.
Sometimes we do that. Not
today,
but we
talk about the trailer in retrospect and then film writ large. Yeah. Listen, I say this a lot. I think I'm due for a goof every now
I
and
mean,
then.
you are on vacation, Kevin. You are on
I
vacation.
literally have my feet up
Yeah.
right now. Yes.
Also, now that I think about it, I really hope My Favorite Murder is still a podcast. Otherwise, that joke just like totally doesn't work. Anyway,
we'll let someone else Google. You can
that's
write
right.
in at
Yeah, that's not what we're
trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com.
getting paid for, Kevin. That's not
If
what
you're
we're
the
getting paid.
host of My Favorite Murder, please fucking let us know.
That's right.
Would you like to guest on Trailer Hitch? You're behind the line of the burlap sack man, unfortunately. But anyway. Indeed, we got some trailers to talk about. Now, before we can get into our main drag, we had a couple of teasers that we wanted to talk about. So we want to take a dip into this here teaser trailer showroom. Isn't that right, James?
Absolutely. And as listeners may or may not know, the teaser trailer showroom happens when teasers come out. It's not a full-fledged trailer, maybe a minute and a half, sometimes less, really. But it's just to give you that little taste, just to try and sell you on it just a little bit. And inherently, teasers are always need to see mores for Kevin and I.
Exactly.
So why bother wasting everyone's time, ours included, with giving it a rating? when that's
You know what the rating is.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's literally how they're designed. They're designed to just give you a little tease, make you want more advertisements for it. They're not even really there to sell you on coming to the movie yet. They're just there to tell you, keep an eye out for this, you know?
Yeah, exactly. This exists. So yes, this is a teaser trailer showroom. This is basically us walking through the showroom. Don't worry, we got our masks on. We're walking through the showroom. We're basically looking at like the little stickers in the window, trying to figure out if the thing has Bluetooth speakers or not, or if it's got AC. So we are looking in this first sticker right here for a trailer that's a bit aquatic. This is Luca.
It'll be amazing. But there's just one thing.
Whoa, wait! Did you see that?
No one can find out.
Please don't take.
Right, so this is the teaser for the new Pixar film Luca. Now, Pixar in general has a pretty storied history with this podcast because Pixar is what we have usually called an untrailerable studio, and their films are untrailerable. Now, Soul was actually the last film they did. That also happens to be an exception to the rule, unfortunately. Like the most recent thing in memory, now they knocked it out of the fucking park. But usually when James and I watch a trailer or a teaser for a Pixar product, we tend to step back and go, that was just okay. And then we go and we see whatever that movie may be, Inside Out or The Good Dinosaur or Onward, whatever it may be. And we always come out and go, that was goddamn great. Well, The Good Dinosaur is just okay. But everything else is goddamn great. And so it's one of those things where I walked into Luca with a little bit of that trepidation of, okay, well, Soul definitely did a good job of selling the concept of that movie, giving you a root character and giving you someone to care about while also still being funny. Like it really threaded that needle that Pixar films usually do over the course of 90 minutes. It was able to accomplish it in 2 minutes. So we have Luca here. Right now, I'm feeling a light to solid. Yeah, all right. But how about you, James? What are you thinking so far?
I mean, as you said, there's not much here to go off of in terms of the story of this specific film, right?
Right, exactly.
It's more the things I grasped and gravitated towards was maybe the message of the subtext of what everything was getting at here.
Yes.
And we'll probably dive a little bit more into that in a second, right?
Absolutely, we will. Mm-hmm.
But in terms of being excited for the story in which it's about to tell us, in true, usual Pixar fashion, we don't really have much to go off of what the overall story will be, what the plot will be, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I would say we have a concept right now. We don't necessarily have a story yet.
And I love the concept. It's visually stunning. It looks absolutely gorgeous and breathtaking and fun and energetic. And hey, it makes me want to visit. Italy, I believe, is where it takes place.
Yeah, Luca
Maybe
sounds Italian.
I think
Sure.
so. In terms of plot, it's just kids, having a good time, and maybe they're trying to hide something, and that's all we have right now.
Yeah, like just in brief, like we have two kids who are hanging out in this little Isle Vista. Let's just call it Italy. Fuck it. So they're in Italy, they're having a grand old time. But once we see them fall into the water, then oh my god, they just turn into what's effectively fish people. Like they're not quite mermaid, but just like some form of aquatic life. And these two boys are clearly happy as can be. And then we start to realize, oh, but they have to keep that secret from everyone else in town. And I think the main thing that I really perked up at was the ending button of this trailer, where we see someone cutting the head off of a fish. And then as soon as the head separates from the fish, we see in between that frame the two boys terrified at the dinner table. And then this person turns around and goes, "Where did you two say you were from again?" We also get a quick little gag about someone splashes water on him and like it makes him turn into a fish. I thought that that was really interesting. I did also, if we want to talk about the subtext, I am definitely reading this as a story about homosexuality. We basically have like these two boys who are extremely close together. They have a secret that they aren't ashamed of whatsoever, but they know that the town is not going to react to it. And the town is kind of posed as a traditional town just in what we get visually. I think that is the subtext that I am reading out of this minute and a half trailer. Is that what you were getting, James?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you made that distinction about it's not that they just want to inherently hide this for their own personal reasons. The town has is outwardly showing that these kinds of things are not welcome in their town.
Exactly.
They have signs posted everywhere, there's statues posted everywhere. If you are a sea creature, we are going to ostracize you. We're going to end you, basically.
We cook
And
you.
so
Yes, exactly.
exactly. So we have that society that is not accepting of who these two boys inherently just are. That's just them. And we have them living in a society that just will not accept that. So obviously they feel like they need to hide themselves, and not show who they truly are to this town. And yeah, I mean, when I first watched it, Kevin, I definitely was feeling very emotional and overwhelmed about the subtext that I was getting from it, which was this homosexual relationship that feels like they need to be hidden and stifled by the community and all that kind of stuff. I was really proud of myself for picking up on that, because I have a tendency to look at things at face value a lot of the time, especially when it comes to movies and TV shows. Subtext is a thing I don't really pick up on until like a second or third viewing with a lot
Sure.
of stuff. That's just how my brain works, and I wish I was better at it. So when I watched this trailer for the first time, I was like, am I getting better at reading subtext? And I'm really excited that there's going to be this story about this homosexual relationship and stuff. Oh, am I the only one who saw this? And then a quick old Google of Luca spacebar G told me that the internet was so on top of this, and I am
Sure.
while I am excited that I saw what was definitely intended to be there, I was partially a little bummed that I'm like, oh, apparently this should just be obvious for everyone. Well, at least I'm in that category.
Well, I guess, yeah, there's a few things. One, obviously, you clearly agreed with everyone in terms of the
That's
subtext, so
right.
that's obviously something. Two, I mean, for what it's worth, man, no, if that's how you watch things, I think that that's great. I'll be completely real. I think sometimes people, and I include myself in this, sometimes can get a bit too wrapped up in subtext sometimes, where all I am taking right now is this perceived message, which bear in mind, the entire point of subtext is it's not the text, which means that you are putting your own interpretation on it. And there have
Right.
definitely been times where, like, we have had discussions where I'll bring up the subtext of something, and then you'll kind of frown and look curious and go, oh, but wasn't there this scene where this thing specific to the story happened? And then I'll go, shit, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, that absolutely does fly in the face of the subtext that I am imposing on this. So I do not want you to feel like you have to necessarily tweak how you watch things, because there is something really good about the fact that you are just like solely paying attention to like the story and the craft and the editing and things like that. So right out the gate, don't worry about that, bud.
Okay.
I like you just
Consider
the
it
way
not
you
worried
are.
about.
I,
Oh, thank you.
if you showed up tomorrow and said, Kevin, I'm a sea creature, I wouldn't cook you. That's how I feel about you. Next. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I definitely think that's what the subtext is. It sounds like that's where everyone else is coming from. Yeah, and it's interesting because, again, my thing right now is, oh, that's really cool. And, like, I'm glad that we're hitting a point where we can tell stories with that sort of subtext. My question now is, I wonder when we'll hit the point where that can just be text, where we do have Luca and his friend just being able to be together. And when you sent me this trailer, James, I emailed you back saying, boy on boy kiss or I fucking walk. And I don't necessarily mean that. Of course, like, I want them to create whatever they want to create, but it is one of those things where I guess I am also really excited for when you can just have an animated movie for kids and you don't have to have it be subtext, where it can just be text as well. Now, bear in mind, it could very well be fucking text in the movie too. This is a teaser. It's a minute and a half long. We don't get into too much here. We basically just know they're fish. But aside from that, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm definitely interested to see how these trailers develop. I'm definitely interested in the film. I'm a huge Pixar fan, so I know
Absolutely.
regardless, I'm going to be in that theater if they're open by that point. I'm just going to say it
Yeah.
and will it into existence. Otherwise, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm definitely liking what I saw so far, but this is very much the definition of a teaser. Like, I just have a bare idea, but there was still clearly enough for us to talk about to really dissect. So I give the trailer
Yeah.
credit for that.
I am holding out hope that it's more than subtext. I want to give the subtext credit because it's very clever. It's very imaginative.
Yeah.
And whoever came up with the story deserves, tons of credit for coming up with that and having the subtext be so welcoming and clear while also, being subtext.
Yeah.
There's also that but though, Kevin, like you said, and I think it is time, and we are at that time where we can start making this normal text. I think movies like Love, Simon, or shows like Love, Victor, and like they kind of open the door to really put it on studios to be like, no, the time is now. We can start making movies like this, and it doesn't have to be like this sexualized thing for adults. This can be for everyone. And I think we're there, and I think, like you said, this movie, it might go there. We don't know because the teaser has not showed us a whole lot yet. So
definitely. Yeah. And I think if this is the movie that does it, oh, that's so cool, because then, yeah, we also have like a layer of subtext to it too that you can also dissect. Like there are a lot of different ways to look at the piece, but if you have that as part of the main text too, I think that in a lot of ways could actually enhance the fantastical elements that are here too. But listen, we're enjoying Luca well enough, but there is a trailer over on the other end of this here teaser trailer showroom. We have to juke around the salesperson because this person, you can tell he's not following COVID guidelines. Like you can tell this is the kind of guy that high fives even though it's a pandemic. We're just going to juke around him and we're going to take a look at this here teaser trailer, James. We got Army of the Dead on deck. All right, with the last Zack Snyder trailer we literally got We Live in a Society. Now, we live in an undead society. James, tell the good people what's going on with Army of the Dead.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what's there to say really when you have a perfect lead in like we live in an undead society and we're talking about a movie called Army of the Dead. Listeners, take a wild guess what we're talking. Yeah, it's zombies. We're talking about zombies.
Yeah.
There's
I think Of the Dead would clue you in, but just so we're on the same page, yeah.
Yeah. We open up and we got gunfire. We got Dave Bautista, macho man Dave Bautista over there with a gun and he's shooting slow motion. Then there's this other little bit of a skinnier, scrawnier guy. And he's like, "Oh, this guy looks like he's a little scared." And then he brings up a baseball bat with some barbed wire. And then it's like, "Oh, you know what? He looks like he can handle himself too." It looks like a crew in the making, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would still rather stand next to Dave Bautista during that siege, but yeah, sure. It seems like he can hold his own okay.
Which is why I think skinny bat guy was standing next to Dave Bautista. he knows it too. He knows it too.
Fair. So fair.
Okay. So we don't have a lot in this teaser, guys. This is a teaser. We do not have a whole lot to go off of. By the title, we know it's zombies. And guess what?
A whole army of them, you could say.
A whole army of them. We have a crew in Las Vegas, which adds a bit of pizzazz to your normal zombie movie. I don't know any zombie movies off the top of my head that take place in Vegas. Do you?
There is a Resident Evil sequel that takes place in Vegas. I want
Game
to say
or movie?
Movie. I want to say that's the fourth or fifth movie. That said, it doesn't take place in casinos. This definitely feels like the crux of this movie is going to be what appears to be a heist, honestly. I got that from the trailer.
You know what? Since Kevin got it from the trailer, I'm comfortable saying it. Maybe the reason I didn't want to say it is, and I didn't see it in the teaser, is because I already knew it beforehand. So maybe I was just like, well, maybe that's just me already knowing it. This is a heist movie, you guys. Yes. So this crew made up of people that we know. Dave Bautista,
who like to stand next to Dave Bautista because he has a gun. Yes,
that's right. We know Skinny Guy. We know Guy telling Skinny Guy at the end of the teaser, "I dig it." Right. So we have those guys. They're in Vegas. There's an army of the undead, but they definitely have some other mission in mind other than survival, which is usually the whole plot of most zombie movies is just survival. So as Kevin got from the teaser and I got from months and months of just like reading articles about it, it's a heist film. They're going to be breaking into like it's like Ocean's 11 meets Zombieland, maybe, Yeah. This looks entertaining, but at the same time, this is very vague. If I had to sum up this teaser trailer in 3 words, Kevin, I would say it looks goofy, it looks exciting, and it looks beautiful. Like those are kind of things that when Zack Snyder is firing at all cylinders, I think those three words are things that he can really like bring to the table.
Yeah, it's definitely visually striking just because it's Zack Snyder. I
Yeah.
mean, the guy, if regardless of what you think of his movies, his images are pretty much tailor made for trailers. Like
Mhm.
they look good in trailers.
But the whole
And
movie's like that.
yeah, the entire movie is basically a sizzle reel for a different movie, is what
Yeah.
it ends up looking like sometimes. But yeah, it's one of those things where, yeah, the heist aspect of it is something that's sort of intriguing to me. Weirdly enough, there was a movie called Peninsula that I think came out either last year or the year before, but that also involved a heist component with zombies. That was a movie that came out of South Korea. It was the sequel to Train to Busan.
Oh,
And
sure.
yeah, I ended up watching Peninsula and I enjoyed it, but it definitely took itself super seriously.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think that just with this sort of premise, there should be a little bit more goofiness in Tale. And certainly the Resident Evil movie that also takes place in Vegas, I don't believe there was a heist component to it. There was a lot that got thrown at me in that movie, and none of it stuck. Uh, but like that also took itself pretty seriously. I think I would enjoy kind of, even if it's just George Romero Dawn of the Dead style satire, where even if it's just type humor, I will totally accept that. But I do feel like there should be some level of levity. I didn't necessarily see that within this teaser, but at the same time, again, it's a teaser, and additionally, well, yeah, but the action looked pretty fucking good. And hey, that's something like that.
Yeah.
At the very least, this could look like an entertaining 2 hours.
Yeah, and look, there's no like jokes in this teaser. So when I say
Mhm.
goofy, I don't mean like it made me laugh. I meant goofy as in like the visuals were even goofy. Like there's a zombie Elvis walking around because of fucking course there is. It's Vegas. And
Mhm.
so in that sense, I feel like there was a goofy side of it, which is really refreshing because the last Zack Snydery stuff we got are his dark and gritty superhero movies, which it's crazy because a superhero movie you feel like should have a level of goofiness to it, but his superhero movies he takes super super seriously. But
Right.
this zombie heist film, we can have some fun with that. I
Yeah,
just kind
that's
of
fair.
get that sense from it. So look, it's a teaser showroom. I'm excited to see more from this. It looks interesting. I'm interested. Color me interested.
Well, that's it for the teaser trailer showroom. We got to
All
get
right.
on this here, Mandrake, man. I feel like I'm just trying to hurry us over there because I kind of feel like I'm slacking, which makes a lot of sense because the next trailer we're talking about is Slaxx.
A lot of people have been very keen to get their eyes on it. Genes that automatically adapt to your body size.
Oh my god. I'm so totally excited I could just die.
Kevin, I haven't bought a pair of new jeans since before the pandemic, and I'm a little afraid that I am no longer a 32, 33. I'm a little nervous that that's probably not the case anymore. Like the jeans I wear, I mean, I'm just around the house, Kevin. I'm going to be
You are?
honest. I don't keep that top button buttoned all the time.
What if you could get a pair of jeans that could just completely form to your goddamn body, James?
That sounds absolutely perfect as long as the jeans don't have any like Nazi paraphernalia on it.
Yeah, I also wondered about the SS on the. You know what? We should talk about this. This is
Let's do
Slaxx.
it.
This is directed by Elza Kephart, co-written by her and Patricia Gomez. This is starring Romaine Dennis, Brett Donahue, Sahar Bojani, Kenny Wong, our random shout out, because we here at Trailer Hitch like to give shout outs to cast and crew members because the top billed people tend to hog all the credit. So we would like to shout out Eric Poirier, who was the costume designer. Hey, Eric, good job, bud. Obviously, all eyes were on you this movie, and it seems like you did a really good job.
With the exception of the branding on the jeans, those costumings
That
look great.
that might not have been Eric's choice. We'll give Eric the benefit of the doubt for now.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So let's talk about it. So what we got with Slaxx. So we open up with someone giving a presentation. We see a model walking on the runway. We are being pitched a product. These are jeans that automatically adapt to your body size. So you just put those bad boys on, then all of a sudden, whoop, all of a sudden you got the perfect fit. That sounds great. What could go wrong? Well, what goes wrong is one of these jeans goddamn wakes up in the back room of this department store and it wants blood. So this place goes into lockdown. The guy who makes the product is like, I just want things to go on schedule by any means necessary, which is apparently up to and including murder. We finally get our first kill. We basically have a woman who straight up says, I'm so excited I can just die, which, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the cheekiness that's going on here. This is definitely going for kind of a horror comedy vibe.
Yes. What? Are you sure? Killer jeans, Kevin? Are you sure?
But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm just so excited I could die. It feels a little bit generic when we should be going really specific. Because what is killer jeans if not really specific? So it's like that lady who's like, I'm just so excited I could die. She's looking at these jeans and all of a sudden the legs loop around her neck and then pull tight. And so it basically creates a trouser noose. We see someone get his thumb cut off by the zipper of some aggressive trousers, which then apparently eat him and then drink his blood. It's a whole thing. We do get another little hit of self-awareness where we do have two characters who are cashiers at this place. And we cut to them intermittently, kind of just to show like, okay, these are kind of our point of view characters. We see her clearly upset, saying we should call the police. And her coworker's like, well, we can't do that. It's a lockdown. Because apparently that's the rule. If you go into a lockdown, then all of a sudden it's just a bunch of cops who are just waving at you from outside and just being like, duck, avoid the legs, stuff like that. They can't actually come in for some reason. But this guy says, hey, do you think that there's an issue? And we look down at this completely mangled corpse as our main cashier goes, people are dying. And from there, we do get some montage stuff. Where it gets strange is we get some words that pop up on screen. We get some title cards. And so we'll get like Slaxx, but then all of a sudden we get a voiceover narrator for this, but not in a world sense. Like this isn't someone who's telling you a story. It's just they're reading what's already on screen. I was initially interpreting this as kind of making it feel more like an advertisement, but I think it could have gone a little bit further in that direction. Right now, this feels like, oh yeah, I mean, like we kind of start and it sort of feels like it's an advert for these jeans that then left turns into a horror movie. But then it all of a sudden turns back into sort of an advert at the end. What were you making of that, man?
When I sent this trailer to Kevin, that was like what his first comment to me was like, I feel like this would have worked better if they went just completely all in on this just being an ad for what is it? Super. I
think it's just Super Slack. Listen, it's really hard to remember because it does look a lot like the SS logo that the Nazis had.
No, it's definitely intentional. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if the end of this movie is like, oh no, we accidentally used the DNA of Adolf Hitler to make these jeans. Like
makes sense.
Yeah. Look, we've seen ads like this before. We've seen trailers like this before. I believe the first teaser that we got for the Child's Play remake, they played it as like an advertisement for, was it Buddy? Like, oh, your
yeah,
buddy,
like a Buddy doll.
Yeah, Buddy doll thing. And so it can be done, but in the same breath, Kevin was like, but the highlight of this trailer is definitely those jeans killing people. So I don't know how you get. I mean, well played, Slaxx. Well played.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things where I came in really hot thinking that, but then ultimately went, oh yeah, you can't really see the kills unless the ad also goes in on the kills too and is just like, yeah, sure, there's a couple of defects here or there. Big whoop. Don't you want to have a nice looking ass?
So a couple people get gene noosed. Big deal. More people die from the flu every year. Blah blah blah. Fuck off.
Exactly. Yeah, you could have gone that route, but I do think in retrospect, my reaction is, oh, this trailer kind of veering on the end of this sort of feels like an ad, but it doesn't like completely commit to
It
it. And
doesn't.
I
It does
think,
not commit to that. You're right. You're
yeah,
totally
and I
right.
think if it just was like, even bear in mind, even if it was just like, okay, fuck it, it's just a full on trailer, I'm totally fine with that too. But like, yeah, when you're giving me these half measure genes here, I don't know. Like, I found this trailer incredibly entertaining. I will say that. Once it was revealed it was Killer Jeans, I went, yeah, all right, let's see the rest of this fucking
Well,
thing.
there was a couple moments for me for that. So first they announce it's Killer Jeans, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening. Killer Jeans, like that's swinging for the fences, right? That's some
Sure
that's
is.
some big in your britches thinking, if I will. Uh,
Damn straight. Come
the next layer that got me, Kevin, it got me. Like this is when I knew was when the trailer just went full Bollywood. And it's it's not like it went full of Bollywood just for like one line, because that we do have that one, salesperson or whatever saying like, okay, so we know two things. We know it dances to Bollywood. But the thing is, the majority of the trailer is these genes killing people to Bollywood music. And
Yeah,
that's bold, man. That is bold.
it's a choice. I don't know if the Nazism thing completely lines up anymore, unless
Well,
I
nothing
just
lines up. Nothing is going to
unless
line up in this movie. It's completely bonkers. Like
yeah.
throw subtext out the window. It is just like, we're going to put Nazi stuff here. We're putting Bollywood stuff here. We're going to put a little Paddington over here. Like what? Like just like
May as well, yeah. No, you're
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
This is the exact type of trailer to just put a hand on my shoulder and just say, "Let it go, buddy." Like, do not think about this any more than you have to.
I mean,
It's just, did
the
you
voice.
have fun?
Yeah, the voiceover cemented that. When that voiceover came in, you're right. I was just like, what decade is this from? Is it am I 10 years too late on watching this trailer? Like, what? But absolutely entertained every step of the way. And the kills look funny and fun. You got to be creative when a pair of jeans are killing people.
Exactly, yeah, because when you say, oh yeah, these are jeans that are form-fitting to you, and yes, bear in mind, you do have a, wait, these jeans are too tight kill that's within this trailer. And that's kind of, once it was revealed, oh, these are killer jeans, that's sort of what I was expecting. When the Culotte Knot came, I was suddenly like, what the fuck? That's where this is going? And yeah, when the guy's like getting his hands eaten by the trousers zipper, all of a sudden I went, oh no, they actually put thought into this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there is some creativity here, and that was really engaging for me.
Yeah,
And so,
it
yeah,
was basically like they saw the Mortal Kombat trailer. Sub-Zero froze someone's blood into a dagger and they stabbed him with it. Okay, hold my beer here. We got some zipper decapitation happening from Mr. Pants over here.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Slaxx looked at the Mortal Kombat trailer with its multi-million dollar budget and its Warner Brothers and HBO backing and said, we can do you one better with just a pair of denim jeans.
All right, I think it's time to rate this, Kevin.
Yeah, we may as well, huh? Okay.
Yep.
I definitely think that there is some ingenuity within this, or creativity, I think. Ingenuity might be a little bit strong. It's killer jeans.
Yeah.
There's some
Why
creativity
not
here.
manufacturing? How about that?
There you go. I like that. I also liked just like the overall tone. I liked the comedy aspect. It seemed like it was self-aware, but not to a point where it would become distracting.
Right.
And so overall, yeah, I would say like this looks like it's decent. But again, I think if the trailer had fully committed to either just being a trailer or just being an ad, and finding a creative way around the fact that, yeah, okay, now we're watching the genes kill people. I think I would have been a little bit more sold. But as of right now, this is a pretty solid need to see more for me. But how about you, man?
There's so many things I really enjoyed about the trailer, but I think the things I enjoyed about it were really just like the moxie of it, of the
Mm.
concept. And I'm like, I don't know if that's enough for me to like give a trailer a need to see it. And especially based off of, I don't know, some of the earlier stuff in the trailer of just kind of the way people are interacting with each other. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of like energy between actors.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you are not coming to Slaxx for the character work.
You're
That's for
not.
sure.
You're not. You're correct. But you do have to acknowledge that it's a movie and you will spend a good amount of time with people. You know, it's kind of like Godzilla
Mhm.
movies. It's like you come for the smashy, but we're gonna make you sit through an hour and a half of not smashy stuff, just like sad people for a little bit too. And I'm just like, if you know, an hour and 20 minutes of this movie are just like employees in a department store not really like having great energy with each other, I think that comes through in the trailer a little bit. So that really knocks it down. But the killer genes aspect is gold. It's gold.
Right.
So that's why I'm right there in the middle with you, Kevin. This is a need to see more for me.
Listen, we are leaving behind the Slacks. We are leaving behind the questionable logos and now going to a different product that is also questionable, I would say, because there are serums involved here,
I was
which
going to
could
say
potentially.
performance enhancing drugs are definitely questionable.
I would, yes, I'm glad we're on the same page, James. I guess the nice bit of news is if you take these, you wind up on Thunder Force. So we'll see if that's a good thing.
You just took our only formula for super strength.
Everything about you will become stronger.
It's spraining my groin. Do chicks have groins?
La 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 la. Thunder.
You've been Thunder Force, but is that a good thing? We're here to find out. This is Thunder Force. This is written and directed by Ben Falcone. This is starring Octavia Spencer, Melissa McCarthy, Jason Bateman, Bobby Cannavale. Our random shout out is going to go to Kyle Arst, who is the re-recording mix technician. Hey, Kyle, thanks for help re-recording people, bud.
You're kicking arst.
All right. Yes, he is. But now, James, it's time for you to kick arst. What's happening in this here trailer?
You guys, let's talk about Thunder Force here. Okay, so we open up and we got our leading ladies standing on the opposite sides of a door. They're waiting for something. But to kill the time, they do the age-old song that you sing when you just need to bond with your friend and wait for some explosion to happen. That is Sing Kiss from a Rose by Seal. Skip ahead, explosion happens, and then we get our beautifully wonderful 4 weeks earlier title card, or 4 days, can't remember. Doesn't matter.
It's weeks, but what does it matter? Go on.
4 weeks earlier. Okay, so we have Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer. They were the ones standing at the door. They're clearly working on something together there, right? They're jiving, they're waiting, they're singing along, they're being friends.
But things weren't always so rosy, were they, James?
That's right. Melissa McCarthy shows up at this governmental lab, and she is looking for Octavia Spencer, and she's telling the person, "We used to be best friends. She trust me. She wants to see me." And we got the sense that maybe there's some sort of rift between them now, but they used to be best friends. And Octavia Spencer seems like she's humoring Melissa McCarthy. It was like, okay, I'll show you around a little bit. As long as you don't fucking touch anything like any of those kids in the Wonka factory, okay? Just put your hands in your pocket. I'll show you some cool shit, and then you'll be on your way.
Basically, yeah. So, and I think it is worth noting that Octavia Spencer is working as a scientist. She's got like a big ass lab. She's got that big lab coat on. And then Melissa McCarthy kind of shows up wearing more street clothes. So it's like we get pretty quickly, we don't necessarily have to say Melissa McCarthy stayed at Klutz, whereas Octavia Spencer ended up becoming really successful. We just get all of that through their wardrobe. And I thought that that was like nice that we could kind of like skip ahead a little bit with that trope.
Absolutely. I think and yeah, I think you nailed it. Like that's great visual storytelling. And it's something we don't need spelled out for us. We can see it in the
Mhm.
wardrobe. We can see it in the way they present themselves and what they're not saying to each other. So that's all really good. And so basically Octavia Spencer's like, don't touch my fizzy lifting drink. And
And then
uh,
fucking Veruca Salt over
Melissa
here.
McCarthy and Grandpa Joe just like kick the door down and it's like, let me put my grubby little paws on everything in here.
Exactly.
And what do they get? Do they get kicked out? No, they get the keys to the freaking chocolate factory. They get to be a superhero. Wow, what a message we're sending people. Anyway,
That's entirely fair. First of all, that's a good use of looking at subtext, James. Second of all,
thank you.
I do want to call out in the more literal sense. Yo, that machine goes from 0 to 60 so fucking fast. It's you have to imagine because this is obviously a lab where they're doing tests and things. You would figure if we don't really know what's in this goddamn serum and like how this affects people, that I don't know, there'd be a couple of steps before sticking you in the face with needles. But no, we get there pretty quickly. But
Yeah,
all right, whatever. It's Octavia's lab. I'll let her run it the way she wants.
and how she wants to run it is just leaving someone who's definitely not qualified around to just basically touch everything unsupervised. That's how
Fair
Octavia
enough.
wants to run it. Who am I to judge? Anyway, so Melissa McCarthy gets superpowers. She has super strength. The trailer also reveals that, hey, you know what? You're gonna be look, we're gonna lean into this. Okay, you're gonna have to be this superhero because this was our only serum. But it really wasn't because apparently Octavia Spencer also took some because she's super powered and she can turn invisible, right, Kevin?
Well, yeah, so the first time I watched this trailer, I was like, "Oh, this is some type of serum where you just inject it and then just whatever superpower comes." So you could have super strength, you could be invisible, or your power is you just know all of the words to REM's "It's the end of the world as we know it." It could be something entirely useless in
I mean,
most
that's a super villain power if I've ever heard one.
You heard of Michael Stipe. Anyway, upon rewatch, I caught Octavia Spencer say, "You took the last of the super strength serum." So the implication that
strength.
yes, so the
Oh.
implication that I'm getting is they have different serums that can give you different powers.
Okay.
Now, my question is I have to assume Octavia Spencer, there's going to be some reveal where she knew full goddamn well that Melissa McCarthy was going to fuck around in her lab and then get shot up with super strength stuff. Because otherwise, Octavia Spencer is way too goddamn cool about this. Octavia Spencer has now witnessed the last of the serum go into her friend's face as she's like, "Oh, I'm going to make jokes about having groins." And Octavia Spencer isn't immediately like, "Get the fuck out of my lab. I don't want anything to do with you anymore." Right. Instead, Octavia Spencer just says, "Okay, I can turn invisible." And so there is, I'm hoping that there will be some sort of flip where it's like, oh no, Octavia Spencer was using Melissa McCarthy. And that's going to be part of the riff that we see that's teased at the beginning of this trailer. Because otherwise, man, they did not care. They were basically just like, okay, she got powers. Octavia Spencer, you have powers now too. Here we go.
Exactly. So they both have superpowers, and guess what? The world is developing, and there's going to be super villains now. They just start popping up because
where did they get the fucking serum? But anyway,
the plot needs it to happen, you know. So there's a bunch of super villains running amok, and that means the Thunder Force has to step up and get a car that's really low to the ground. And so they do that, and it's super impractical. And then they realize that, and they point it out loud. And then we all laugh hysterically at the fact that the car is too low to the ground. Look, I am definitely being too mean on this because I'm sure some people like this. I'm going to jump ahead and then we'll jump back. This trailer didn't do it for me, Kevin.
Yeah,
So
I was about to say.
there's a lot of disdain and sarcasm that is coming through my voice here. But I think that's just because after watching Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar, I'm just like,
once again, the bar is far too high nowadays.
It's so high now. And I'm just like, if you're not Barb and Star, like, why even bother, really? And that's not fair. That's not a fair precedent to set. People in movies should still try. And you know what? This has something different. It's got superhero dynamic to it. It's led by fantastic leads who are inherently funny people. So and great actors. So this isn't completely deserving of all the the sarcasm I'm soaking in it. But
well, yeah, it's one of those things where I wouldn't necessarily give sarcasm if this was their first go of it either. But it's one of those things where I honestly might be on the opposite end, man, because it's like, Melissa McCarthy, and I'm pretty sure the writer-director is her husband.
It is. Yep. That's
yeah.
correct.
They've been making comedies like this for years now. Like we've had like The Life of the Party. We've had several different Melissa McCarthy movies. And
I mean, Spy is incredible.
Spy is really fun. Yes.
Absolutely hilarious.
I think that's the thing, man, is because we have Spy. Like we know that like there are these like Melissa McCarthy led comedies that are really funny and really entertaining. And I think that means that it just hurts a little bit more when you see another trailer for a Melissa McCarthy movie and you're like, oh, it's going to be one of these. Like, these are like one of these, like, yeah, it's more or less basically just meant to be thrown on in the background. And maybe you have conversations with your friends as you watch it. And then you look up and you go, oh, okay, I guess it was done 10 minutes ago. And now Bridgerton started automatically. And it's one of those things where it's like, but at the same point, I know that Melissa McCarthy and like her husband and like the entire creative team, Octavia Spencer, she has a fucking Oscar. Like, that everyone here is capable of doing really awesome stuff. And so when I see things like this, and bear in mind, like, I know full well people can miss sometimes. Like sometimes it's like, yeah, this will be a super fun and great idea. And then they do it. And then you get into the editing bay and you go, oh shit, this isn't working at all. There's nothing we can do about it. But at the same time, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, yeah, I think this is one of those instances where this just isn't clicking. And not just for the petty reasons that we were kind of talking about, but like, yeah, there is seriously, like, I appreciate the fact that we are skipping a lot of like the tropes of watch Melissa McCarthy fall down and go boom as Octavia Spencer becomes an award-winning scientist. I appreciate not having that exposition, but at the same point, I mean, it's still a trope, and it doesn't seem like they're necessarily doing anything to really tweak it or to really riff on it in a way that makes sense given the superhero aspect we have here. Mm-hmm. And again, when it comes to the superhero stuff, Octavia Spencer turns invisible and then she just tases a guy, which maybe it's meant to play as an anti-joke, but to me just felt like there's nothing really that special about it in the context of a superhero narrative. Like, I feel like you might have been able to find something more, especially with the invisibility thing.
And who knows? Maybe that's an aspect of the movie that they explore. Like Melissa McCarthy might start to be like, you don't even bring anything to the table. You turn invisible for a second and then you tase people when I'm the real superhero, like maybe
I throw things. Yeah.
I throw buses and possibly kill like 30 people.
Yeah. I wasn't
unclear.
Speaking of subtext. Yeah. There were some uncomfortable implications there.
And that may have just been like added, sound effects for the trailer to just liven up the trailer. Whereas
totally
in the movie, it's like, no, they emptied the bus and they knew they were throwing the bus at a place where they evacuated that area. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, so it culminates to a convenience store, really. Robbery, the guy getting tased. Yeah, it's not groundbreaking humor. And not that your film has to be wall to wall groundbreaking humor. But
No, definitely not.
trailers are meant to show the best of the best without giving anything away. They're meant to highlight things. So when a trailer for a comedy has something in the trailer that we've kind of like seen versions of that joke already a lot, it's like that's the best foot forward you're putting for your trailer. Like that kind of is a little worrisome for me anyway. And
Definitely.
and then it ends with Jason Bateman, Mr. Lobster Hand or Crab Hand or whatever, making some really charming astrology jokes. Or no, what is it called?
Yes.
Is it astrology? What's
Yes,
the
yes. That's because he says you would assume I'm a Cancer, but I'm really a Capricorn. And
and
it's
he and
because
he
like
he winks and it's precious. It's all look. Jason Bateman is just an absolute treasure. So I'm gonna be honest, Kevin. This trailer bookended pretty nicely for me because we got some pinnacle art with Kiss
yes.
from a Rose by Seal at the forefront, which really, I mean, even if your trailer is just like not good, if you have Kiss from a Rose by Seal in it,
It does
for
go up a
me,
couple notches.
for me,
Yeah, it
it
does go up a
elevates
couple
it
notches.
above 6 feet under, if you
Yeah.
will. So if your trailer is dead and buried on the grave, that Kiss from a Rose, that's going to bring it up. That's going to bring it up at least to surface level.
That's her.
And then Jason Bateman at the end winking at me. Yeah, I can get on with that. That's pretty great. I love that. It was the stuff in the middle that didn't quite peanut butter and gel for me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and bear in mind, man, like I too love me some Kiss from a Rose. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give this a never need to see.
It's like, I guess, a higher never need to see for me because of Kiss from a Rose
because of Seal.
and Jason Bateman.
Well, you have 2 ears and a heart, don't you? Of course,
Yeah.
I understand.
It's not an exciting thing to say, but it's a high never need to see for me.
Listen, we definitely weren't that into Thunder Force, but did you like it, listener? Did you like the Slaxx trailer? What did you think of Luca? What did you think of Army of the Dead? You can let us know. If you want to go ahead and send an email to us at trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise, if you want to go ahead and find us on Facebook, just Trailer Hitch Podcast, you'll be able to find us there. Otherwise, if you wanted to keep your missive to a short, say 280 characters short, you can send us a tweet at Trailer Hitch Pod, or if you want to take a picture and send it to us, you can hit us up on Instagram at Trailer Hitch Podcast. Otherwise, you can leave a comment on the very YouTube video you're watching right now. And while you're on YouTube, go ahead, like, subscribe, do all the things that help us find more listeners. Or if you're not listening to us on YouTube, I have to assume that means you're listening to us on either Apple Music or Stitcher. And just, if you could, rate, subscribe, do all of the things, just because it's nice to be able to talk to people about trailers. Eventually, we'll find someone who liked the Thunder Force trailer, and it'll be nice to talk to them. It'll be good to get their perspective. Before we go, we would like to thank Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for the amazing intro that you hear at the top of every episode. We would like to thank Rachel Ashley for the amazing cover art that you see on her various social medias. You can find her work at Mighty Creations on Instagram. We would also like to thank Jenny Hawks, our Bad Movie and social media correspondent, for her sterling work week in and week out. And we would also like to thank Casey Clowers for the amazing outro, which you will hear momentarily.
You can't mount holy sails without a sailor stitch, and you can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Okay, so I also don't want to concern you, but you are clipping like you're playing for an LA basketball team right now.
I thought maybe because my waveforms look really hot. I'm gonna twist some knobs right now. You let me know how it sounds. I'm going to keep talking at the same level and hopefully that it sounds lesser. Does it sound lesser yet?
Honestly, it's weird because your waveforms still look like they're pretty big, It sounded better. Either that or I'm just getting used to it. It's one of the two.
No, the waveforms look super, super hot. I don't understand. But do I sound quieter to you?
Now it does sound like it's the same, unfortunately.
Kevin.
Yes?
We're
Yes?
going to try this again, and this time I'm going to turn the knob the correct way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.